Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for a pretty high stakes journey into the pharmaceutical industry.
We certainly are.
We're looking at this concept known as Pharma 4.0, which is really the convergence of cutting edge technology and, patient safety.
It's this digital revolution that's rewriting everything, how drugs discovered, developed, manufactured, all of it.
Right, using tools like AI, IoT, cloud infrastructure.
But here's the thing. If you look at where these massive transformation projects fail, it's almost never the technology.
It's the people.
It's the people. The
Mhm.
human organization, the culture, the processes, it just can't keep up. So our mission today is to really dig into that and see that the critical challenge isn't just deploying tech, it's change management.
That human element really determines whether billions of dollars in investment actually pay off.
Absolutely.
And that focus is so critical, especially in an industry where the stakes are literally life or death. This isn't just about efficiency.
Yes, not at all.
It's about making sure that as you innovate, you are maintaining or even elevating the quality and patient safety protocols. It's a total rethink.
A complete restructuring of how these companies approach compliance.
So let's unpack that strategic challenge right away. If an organization wants to navigate this, they need a framework, right? What are the core components?
The sources lay out this really holistic strategy. It's based on three interconnected pillars that have to move forward at the same time.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first pillar is people, and the focus here is on genuine transformation.
Not just training.
Not just training, no. It requires building organizational awareness, making sure everyone truly gets why this change is happening, and then ensuring deep involvement from staff at every level. They have to feel ownership.
That people transformation is always the hardest part. What's the second piece?
The second pillar is the technology itself, and its focus is simply adoption. And adoption, it's not a switch you flip. It's a maturation curve. Organizations move through these stages, initial, intermediate, and then advanced. It's about how deeply people are actually using the new tools.
So if you have human behavior and tool use covered, the third pillar must be the scaffolding that holds it all up.
Precisely. The third pillar is the organization, and it's all about structural alignment.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, you can't just drop an AI system into an old org chart. This pillar addresses the necessary changes in the organizational structure, the formal processes, your SOPs, and, so critically, the underlying culture.
If the tech changes the process, the culture has to evolve to support it.
You've got it.
And what makes this so incredibly hard for pharma is that every single one of those changes has to comply with GXP Good Anything practice. And of course, these non-negotiable patient safety standards.
That's the core tension right there. The new digital systems can't just be faster. They have to be provably, auditably compliant.
It's not about cutting corners. It's about achieving what you might call validated speed.
Validated speed. I like that. That's exactly it.
Okay, with that blueprint established, let's drill down into the tools themselves. We've got 5 critical tech categories here. For each one, let's look at its capability and the change hurdle it creates.
Let's do it. And we should probably start with the one that gets all the headlines. Artificial intelligence and machine learning.
AI's capability in R&D is, it's supposed to be transformative. Just how fast are we talking? Is there a good example of that?
Oh, yeah. The capability is accelerating everything from identifying targets to predictive toxicology. We're talking orders of magnitude faster. The jaw-dropping example in the sources is AstraZeneca.
Okay.
Their partnership with AWS let them run 51 billion statistical tests in less than 24 hours.
Wow. 51 billion. In a day.
I know. That kind of scale just redefines the whole discovery process. And it's not just R&D. AI is also enhancing manufacturing quality control through image recognition and things like that.
When a machine is doing that kind of heavy lifting, the change managers must be facing some serious hurdles with the workforce.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest hurdles are twofold. First, the very real human fear of job displacement.
Of course.
And second, the sheer technical complexity of validating these new models.
Yeah.
Change managers have to constantly communicate that AI is there to enhance human expertise, not replace it.
So you're retraining, say, a quality assurance professional to
What?
to trust the AI?
To trust it, but also to validate it, to understand how to monitor its outputs and make sure the models meet all their regulatory requirements, which were, mostly written for human-centric processes.
Oh, new skill set. Okay, next up is what you could call the nervous system of the smart factory, the Internet of Things, or IoT.
Right. The capability of IoT is all about real-time visibility. It gives you this unprecedented, continuous stream of data on critical parameters, temperature, humidity, air quality. If something deviates in a sterile environment, instantly.
I have to imagine that kind of data flow just completely upends maintenance schedules.
It does. It shifts the entire organization away from reactive or even just traditional scheduled maintenance to a truly predictive approach. The Novartis example is a great one here. They used IoT sensors and AI to achieve huge decreases in unplanned downtime because they can now fix equipment before it fails.
And I bet it streamlines the documentation for regulators, too.
Dramatically. It auto-generates these detailed, real-time batch records.
So if the data flow is constant, what's the change management headache for the operators on the factory floor?
They have to learn to interact with their environment in a totally new way. They have to learn to trust dashboards, to interpret automated alerts, and to act on signals, not just a calendar.
And you've also connected everything to the internet.
And you've just exponentially increased your cybersecurity attack surface. So that demands constant, rigorous training to maintain security hygiene.
Okay, moving on to the insight engine, the thing that makes sense of all that IoT data, big data analytics.
Big data is the fuel. Its capability is in optimizing these really high-cost operations, like clinical trials. It also makes supply chains more agile. But what's really transformative is the use of real-world data, RWD.
From where? Electronic health records, wearables.
Exactly. And increasingly, from social media.
Wait, social media, that sounds like a compliance nightmare, but I can see how valuable the insight could be.
It's both. The really surprising fact we found is that some studies show patient-reported side effects from social media can actually be more accurate and faster than what's recorded through traditional channels.
That one detail alone is fascinating. But managing that much data must require a huge cultural shift.
It's the biggest hurdle. You have to move the culture away from gut feelings or anecdotal experience toward truly data-driven decision-making. That means establishing really strong data governance and, investing heavily in upskilling your people.
Everyone needs to become a bit of a data analyst.
In a way, yes. They need to know how to interpret the data to get the insights.
All right, our fourth technology is all about trust in the supply chain, blockchain.
Blockchain's key capability is providing a secure, unchangeable, transparent ledger. This is just indispensable for fighting counterfeit drugs.
So you can trace a product right back to its source?
Precisely. You create a secure digital fingerprint. It's also critical for things like cold chain monitoring, ensuring temperature-sensitive drugs were handled correctly.
It gives you that ironclad audit trail, so where does the friction come in when you try to implement it?
Well, the tech itself is complex and needs special training, but the biggest challenge by far is coordination.
Between all the different partners in the supply chain.
Exactly. You have suppliers, contract manufacturers, distributors, pharmacies. For a blockchain to work, they all have to agree on standards and integrate their separate validated systems. The logistical and, frankly, political hurdle there is immense.
And finally, the infrastructure that makes all of this possible, cloud computing.
The cloud is the digital backbone. Its capability is providing the scalable, flexible power you need to run everything else. R&D teams get access to, virtually unlimited computational resources on demand.
Which is impossible with old on-premise servers.
Right. And crucially for pharma, modern cloud platforms are built to facilitate regulatory compliance. They support standards like FDA 21 CFR Part 11 for electronic records, and they provide robust audit trails and disaster recovery.
It sounds like a pure win, but I'm sure moving decades of regulated data offsite causes some internal resistance.
It creates significant operational friction. Your IT teams, who spent their careers focused on on-premise systems, suddenly need a whole new set of skills in cloud management and security. And the whole organization has to rewrite its policies on data governance and access control.
Okay, so we've covered the why with the framework and the what with the technologies. Let's turn now to the how. How do you actually implement this in such a regulated space?
The first step is always a really rigorous technology selection and risk assessment. This is a huge change management decision point.
So you're not just looking at price and features?
Not even close. You have to use a multi-criteria framework that assesses not just the business value, but its regulatory alignment.
Yeah.
You have to check it against current and even anticipated FDA and EMA requirements.
So you're balancing the ROI against intangibles like better quality, but also trying to quantify the risk of, say, disrupting a production line.
Exactly. It's a very sophisticated risk-benefit analysis. You have to balance the efficiency gains against technical risks, regulatory risks, and operational risks. It's high-stakes portfolio management.
And to manage those risks, the sources really emphasize getting buy-in early from everyone.
It is absolutely essential. We're talking about stakeholder engagement across the entire value chain: quality, regulatory, manufacturing,
Learn
IT,
to bring them in at the start.
before you even make the decision. That way you don't just get their input, you build ownership. You turn potential roadblocks into project champions.
And that partnership leads right into the biggest challenge of all: regulatory compliance and validation. This is where safety, efficacy, all of it gets tested.
And this is where Pharma 4.0 gets really complex. Traditional computer system validation, CSV, it has to be completely adapted for something like AI. Well, the validation has to address the unique features of these systems. Specifically, you need algorithm transparency, model interpretability, and a plan for continuous learning capabilities.
Model interpretability. So you can't just have a black box making decisions. You have to prove why it's making them.
You have to. And throughout all this, you have to strictly adhere to LCOA plus data integrity principles, making sure data is attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, and accurate.
That sounds like a massive undertaking, which is why I assume you don't just roll it out everywhere at once.
No, you absolutely don't. Pilot programs and proof of concepts are non-negotiable for de-risking the change.
But how do you make sure those pilots are actually useful and not just expensive science projects?
The design has to balance ambition with reality, especially regulatory reality. And the success criteria can't just be technical metrics.
What else do you measure?
You have to include change management outcomes, things like user confidence and user acceptance. And you staff these pilots with cross-functional teams. Those people, the early adopters, they become your crucial change champions for when you're ready to scale up.
Finally, we have to talk about the challenge of merging all this new tech with the old legacy systems. You can't just throw out decades of validated knowledge.
That transition is maybe the most painstaking part of the whole process. It requires just meticulous data migration planning to ensure data integrity.
Yeah.
And the training programs have a dual function here.
What's that?
They have to preserve the institutional knowledge from the old systems while building the new skills for the digital ones.
Yeah.
It's a real tightrope walk.
And as everything gets connected, the conversation on cybersecurity has to become front and center?
It has to escalate, yeah. The number of new entry points, all those IoT devices, the cloud platforms, it creates this vastly expanded attack surface. So you have to develop frameworks to protect sensitive data without ever interfering with a critical manufacturing or quality process.
At the end of the day, though, it comes back to the people, doesn't it?
It always does. You can have the best tech in the world, but your employees are often the weakest link. So continuous training on things like phishing and social engineering is just paramount.
This has been a really profound exploration of Pharma 4.0. I think the core takeaway for me is, while the tech creates these amazing, intelligent, and predictive systems, success is ultimately a human challenge.
It is. The change management is the strategy. The goal is to get that sustainable value, better efficiency, faster discovery by mastering all this technical complexity while strictly maintaining and hopefully even elevating the quality and compliance standards that define the entire industry.
A perfect summary.
And to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on. We talked a lot about the strict need for validation, right? But we also noted that AI and machine learning models have these powerful continuous learning capabilities. So here's a question. If a system is constantly updating itself in real time to optimize drug production, what specific governance mechanisms have to be in place to ensure that a continuously learning system remains in a validated, compliant state? That is the critical tension between a relentless innovation and absolute regulatory adherence that leaders in this space have to solve right now.